Today I want to share with you a chocolate truffles recipe. They're very easy to make and are a delightful little sweet treat for friends and family to enjoy. Plus, they're a wonderful gift to give at holiday time. Hi sweet friends, I'm Mary and welcome to Mary's Nest, where I teach traditional cooking skills for making nutrient-dense foods like bone broth, ferment, sourdough, and more. So if you enjoy learning about those things, consider subscribing to my channel and don't forget to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. The two main ingredients when you make chocolate truffles are the chocolate and some heavy whipping cream. Heavy whipping cream really works the best. And that's generally a cream, if you look on the side where the nutritional information is, it'll usually contain 6 grams of fat. Now, in addition to the chocolate and the cream, you can add some flavorings. And you really can add whatever you want. You could add a little vanilla flavoring. You could add different spices. Today, I'm going to add some cinnamon. Some people even like to make their truffles a little spicy. And along with whatever sweet spices they add, they may also add a little spicy spices like cayenne. Now don't worry about writing any of this down. If you open the description under the video, just look where it says recipe and there'll be a link there. And if you click on that, it'll take you over to the printable recipe where I'll go over all the little different combinations of flavorings that you can add to your truffles. Now what about the chocolate? I like to use a bittersweet chocolate, but you can definitely use a semi-sweet chocolate as well. And I'm using bittersweet chocolate chips. And you're going to want about 8 ounces. And 8 ounces of chocolate chips are approximately a cup and a third. But you may also have a bag of chocolate chips that says 8 ounces. But if you're using other types of chocolate that you're just breaking up with a knife, cutting up with a knife, you're going to look for about wanting a cup and a third of chopped chocolate. So as I said, I've got a cup and a third here, or about 8 ounces of chocolate chips, bittersweet. And then you're going to want a cup of your heavy cream, your heavy whipping cream, which will work best. And then I'm going to use just a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then I like to add to my truffles just a pinch of salt. And I literally mean just a pinch. Just take a little pinch between your fingers. That's all you need. Now, once the truffles are all done and we form them into little balls, there are various options of what we can roll them in. And when we get to that point, we'll go over those as well. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can make truffles. One is to melt your chocolate and then to add in your cream and have everything combined that way. Melting chocolate is something you need to be very careful when you do it because chocolate can burn very easily. So if you want to melt your chocolate chips, you're going to want to do them over a pot in a heat-proof bowl, over a pot of water where the water is not touching the chocolate, and let the water underneath simmer and let your chocolate melt. Another option that some people will do is to melt your chocolate in the microwave, but you have to be very careful when you do that because it is easy to burn it quickly in the microwave. But the way that I like to make truffles, and I really think works the best, and you don't have to worry about any potential burning of your chocolate, is to warm your cream. So I'm going to bring this over to my stove top, and I'm going to warm this. And what you're looking for, if you do it this way, is for a little bit of steam to start coming off the cream, and you'll know it's the right temperature. And while I'm warming that cream, I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle in my cinnamon. I find that that mixes much better if I put it into the warm cream as opposed to just sprinkling it over the chocolate. Then I'm going to go ahead and also put in my salt. Well, let me bring this over to my stove and warm it up, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alrighty, well, I warmed this cream and the steam was coming off the top, and as I was warming it, I was whisking it. We just want to make sure that it doesn't burn or stick to the bottom, and the spices have mixed in beautifully. In this case, just the cinnamon have mixed in beautifully with the cream, and now I'm going to go ahead and just pour this over my chocolate chips. Now what I'm going to do is just stir this around ever so gently to sort of help that chocolate melt. And I'll bring you in close so you can see as the chocolate melts in the hot cream. You're just going to stir your chocolate and your cream together as your chocolate melts, and it'll melt beautifully. And this is wonderful because it literally took, oh gosh, maybe 20 seconds to warm the cream, and to the point where steam was starting to come off the top. And then you pour it over the chocolate, and as you can see, the chocolate starts to melt beautifully, and no worries about burning chocolate. Because I don't think there's anything worse than that taste of burnt chocolate or the smell that it creates in the house. But this is just looking terrific, getting exactly to the consistency that we want. Once your chocolate is completely melted and it's mixed in beautifully with your cream, you won't see any more white streaks of the cream, and the chocolate will be melted perfectly. And you'll just have this luscious, very shiny, lovely melted chocolate mixture. Then what I'm going to do is just clean off my spatula. I want to get every little last bit of chocolate, of my chocolate truffle mixture into the bowl. Now what we're going to do is take some plastic wrap, and we're going to cover our mixture, and we're going to refrigerate this for about an hour, but you can refrigerate it up to overnight as well. And what you're looking for is for this to be quite firm, because when we go to work with it and roll it into balls and then roll it in various coatings, we need it to be very firm. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the fridge, let this cool down, and then we'll make our truffles. Well, I actually wound up chilling this overnight, so it's definitely nice and firm. But under normal circumstances, about an hour will do. And when you take it out of the fridge, you're going to see that it's very firm. It's not runny at all anymore. Now, before we start rolling our chocolate mixture into balls, the first thing we want to do is decide what ingredients we want to roll our little truffles into. And what I've got here is some unsweetened cocoa powder. You could also use sweetened cocoa powder. I've got some chopped nuts, and then I've also got just some plain white powdered sugar. Now, if you've made the transition where you're using more whole sugars in your kitchen, and you've got sucanat, which is the dried sugar cane juice, or you've got maybe maple sugar or coconut sugar or date sugar, any of those whole sweeteners, you can take them and pulverize some in a blender, or if you have one of those little spice grinder, coffee bean grinder machines, you can grind it in that and turn that into a powder, and then you can use that as one of the coatings for your truffles, making it extra nutritious. So what we're going to want to do is scoop out enough that we think will roll into a ball about the size of an inch. And that works well if you just use a teaspoon and scoop out a teaspoon's worth. Then just working kind of quickly, because you don't want it to start melting on you, and just roll it in your hand until you get what looks like a nice little ball. And then you decide what coating you want. I'm going to put this in the cocoa. I think that's going to be delicious. Perfect. Then what you want to do is have some type of container ready that you're going to store these in. And I've just got a little glass bowl here that has a lid that gives it a nice airtight seal. But whatever you have will work. And then what I like to do is take a little parchment paper, you can use wax paper, and put that down on the bottom, and then put your truffle right onto that, and then onto the paper. And then that helps it from sticking, and it'll start to firm up nicely with the coating, and then we'll put more on here, and we don't need to worry about anything being sticky or sticking to the container. Now I've rolled another truffle, and I'm going to put this one this time in the chopped nuts, and you just keep twirling it around until it's very well covered and the nuts are adhering nicely. Now I'll take another scoop, and we'll roll this one into a ball, and then this one will dust in the powdered sugar. So we just get it into a nice round shape, and then down into the powdered sugar it goes. And then we'll add that to our collection with the other two, the one rolled in the cocoa powder and the one rolled in the nuts. And now you can even mix and match this if you want. You can roll it in the nuts and then roll it into the cocoa powder, or you could roll it in both powdered sugar and cocoa powder. You can do the nuts and the cocoa powder, or whatever other ideas that you have. This is very flexible. Now, I was able to fit 9 in the bottom of my container, and whatever size container you have, again, just put your parchment paper or wax paper on the bottom and fit in as many as you can, but not, letting them touch. Let them kind of have a little space between them. And then for the next layer, I'm going to take another piece of parchment paper. Again, you can use wax paper, and I'm going to put that on top of the ones that are down on that bottom level, and then we'll continue making our truffles and putting on our next level, and then I'll show you how to store them. Once I get my second layer of truffles done, I'm going to go ahead and take another piece of parchment paper, wax paper, whatever you have, and I'm going to put this on top just to give them a little protection. And my container here just holds 2 layers, so I'm just going to put the 2 layers in. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the lid on, and then I'm going to pop them in the refrigerator. And I like to pop these in the refrigerator for about an hour, because that allows the different ingredients that we rolled each truffle in to just set up a bit. That way, once the coatings have set up a bit and you want to put them in a box to give as a gift, it's all right at that point where they're touching each other. See, at this point, I kind of have a little space between each of them as that coating is setting. And the same would be true if you were going to serve these maybe on a dessert buffet at holiday time. Just keep them in your fridge, and then when you're ready to serve them, you can just take them out and set them on a plate. As I said, let the coating set at least an hour, and then put them out on a plate, and they'll be beautiful. But right now, let's take a taste and see how these are. I think they're going to be delicious. Now, I'm going to take one of the ones that we dusted in the cocoa powder, because I love chocolate, and these are going to be intensely chocolate. Oh my. That is so delicious. You're going to really enjoy these. And anybody you would give them to as a gift is really going to enjoy them as well. Now, you're going to get about 27 truffles out of this mixture. I've got 18 in here, and I've got enough in here to make another 9. So it's a generous amount. Now, if you'd like some ideas for more homemade sweet treats like this that are also wonderful for giving as gifts, be sure to click on this video over here, and I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country Kitchen. Love and God bless.